Alright guys, welcome back to Death from Above 40k. It's an exciting time for me. I've just got my grubby little hands on the new Psychic Awakening for the Greater Good, and I've just spent this afternoon running around just grabbing up tower models and just getting super excited. So what I put together here first off is a 2,000 point army that I want to go over. I've included all the units in this because a lot of them are applicable to some of the new stuff that is going on in the new Psychic Awakening book. So a lot of the new prototype weapons, some of the new build your own army type things, all that sort of stuff. So first off, in the actual list, I'll just go over what is in my 2,000 point list, just so that we've got an idea of what I'm actually working with. So the entire thing is a brigade and a vanguard. So that's the 16 command points total at 2,000 points. So it's a nice massive amount of command points, which is really good. So in that, I've got, for HQs, 2 Cadre Fireblades to keep it cheap, and also you get, you know, their marker lights as per usual. You knows what these do. You knows what they do. You know what they do. That's how excited I am. I can't even speak properly, but I'll get through this. Alright, then we've got a Cold Star Commander over here. Now I've given him all missile pods, because I just like the idea of him being able to get around and fire off his missile pods and all that sort of stuff. And then that's the 3 for the brigade. Then over here I've got an XV8 suit, and it's got the 4 fusion. So that's the HQs. Then we'll go over the troops. So I've just got 6 breacher teams with the pulse rifles, and each one of them has a marker light. Nothing special, just your normal run-of-the-mill troops, good solid troops, 5-man squads, just keep it cheap and be able to get my 6 troop choices. Then in the elites, there's 6 choices, because in a brigade you can just go nuts on elites choice by the sound of things. I've got 2 Riptides with the fusion and the missile pods. I haven't given them any other upgrades, and I'll go over that in a second as to why. Then I've got 3 stealth suits. So 1, 2, 3, that's in the Vanguard. They have a fusion blaster on the leader of each group, and then 2 burst cannons. Then we've got a Ghostkeel, and that makes up the 6. So 3 at the back here, and 3 here in the Vanguard. Then in the fast attack, we've got 4 choices in that. So we've got a 10-man Pathfinder team over the back here. And then we've got 3 tactical drones. Now, I'm taking these ones as gun drones because I like them to be able to shoot and do a little bit more. Most people prefer shield drones, but either way, there's 3 units of 4 in there to protect suits or whatever it is you want to do with them. Deep strike them in, all that good stuff. So that's fast attack. And then in the heavy support, got a Hammerhead over here with the rail rifle, or rail cannon, heavy rail cannon, and smart missile systems. Then I got 2 broadsides with the rifles, and then on the back they've got the smart missile systems too. So going back to, I said before that now you can have your army traits. So it's like the chapter traits for the Space Marines or any other army that's sort of come out thus far. For this army, the ones that stand out to me, I'm not going to go over all of them. There are a bunch of them in there, so it's a pick and choose for yourself. You know, there's all sorts of things to make your jetpacks go faster, more maneuverability, all that sort of stuff. The ones I've gone for though are hardened warheads. So what hardened warheads does is all your high yield missiles, your smart missiles, and your seeker missiles get a +1 AP. So straight off the bat, you know, my commander, now his missiles will be AP2. The Riptides get AP1 missiles on their smart missiles. So do the Broadsides over here and this guy. So it's sort of good, makes your heavy weapons heavier. Then if you want to, on top of that, you can add in, you know, more perks on them to get more AP, as in like your suit upgrades. The next one I did was stabilization systems, which allows suit models in my army to move and not suffer the penalty of firing heavy weapons. So pretty much the 2 broadsides, the 2 Riptides, the Ghostkeel, saves a heap of points because now you don't have to pay for, I think it was target lock. which is like 12 points per one, saves a whole heap of points in the army. So that means now all my stuff can move and shoot its heavy weapons freely, and it doesn't sort of interfere with my points. So that comes up really good, because what it means now is each Riptide I'm actually saving 30 points on each of these just by using them, because I'm getting the extra AP on the smart missiles and they can move and shoot the heavy weapons for free, which opens up like those extra points if you want to put in like the, you know, being able to target aerial things and stuff like that. So they're the two big winners so far for this army. What I'm going to do is I'll go over next some of the prototype weapons on some of the units and how I think they're applicable. So we'll get back in a second, and I'll go over what I think is the best prototype units and prototype weapons and how to use them on your units. Alright, be back in a tick. Alright guys, so here we are. First weapon upgrade that I want to go over that's applicable to my army. So this is why I've added in the Hammerhead, so that if I want to have some long range anti-tank, which let's face it, there's always room for long range anti-tank, we've got some. So first things first, going back to the army-wide trait just on this tank, it's now smart missile systems will be AP1, which that's actually the only way to get it on this, because tanks can't take the upgrade like the battlesuit. So it's a bit of a buff if you want to take cheaper than Riptides. This is a good way of getting one done. So this thing's called the High Capacitance Railgun. That was a mouthful. High Capacitance Railgun. Now where this is different to your normal railgun is this one, when you're doing your solid shot, is heavy 2, strength 10, AP 4, D6. So pretty much you just get 2 shots instead of 1. So you're doubling up on your shots for your railgun. So, you know, if you had one of these near, say, you know, if you wanted to run it as Tower Sept and you wanted to run long strike, you get the +1 to hit. This thing would be hitting on 2s with some marker lights, re-rolling those 1s. So you're getting extra shots. So you've just got more capacity to take out things like knights, heavy tanks. You know, most predators and stuff like that are 11 wounds. So with a good roll, you could just blow one off the map. Now, taking into account also every time you roll a 6, this does D3 mortal wounds. So at an absolute maximum roll, you could do 12 damage with your normal 2 shots and then another 6 damage worth of mortal wounds. So that's a lot. Now on average, you're probably gonna, you know, maybe do, if that's 18, probably half of that. So you might do 8, 9 wounds, which is still good enough to cripple most vehicles in the game or incapacitate them. The first thing I notice is this gives a little bit of an edge. I know everyone's worried about iron hands and things like that. This gives you the capacity to maybe sit back and fire at some of those bigger tanks with this sort of weaponry and, you know, hit hard. That's not saying in any terms that, you know, you're just going to go out and smoke iron hands, but they're all everybody's shaking in their boots with them, so this is something that might help you out. The other thing it's got is 4d3, strength 6, AP 1, damage 1 shots. So that's a little bit better than the D6, I reckon, because you're also always getting a minimum of 4 shots, maximum of 12 shots. So if you want to control some crowds, that's really good. So I'm a big fan of the Hammerhead. I run 2 to 3 of them in most of my games, and less Riptides. That's just me. I just think they're cheaper. They've got a lot of good weapon systems on them. And in this new Psychic Awakening with this new high capacitance railgun, you know, it might be able to buff up one of your tanks and give you a little bit more control of the battlefield and killing your enemy's heavy armor. Alright, I'll go on to the next prototype weapon system and unit that it's usable on and get back to you in a tick. Alright guys, so the next prototype weapon system and unit that can use it is the Humble Ghostkeel. Really love this model. I only own one of them. I do want to get probably 2 more of them. I think they go well with, you know, the Hammerheads. Instead of running Riptides, because I think you're either running Riptides or Hammerheads, I think for me it would work better to have Hammerheads and then have 3 of these. But that's beyond the point. So, prototype weapon system. So this guy has come with 2 new upgrades, which are really cool. So, the first one is the Fusion Obliterator. So very similar to the Hammerhead Rail Rifle we just spoke about. This one, instead of being a D3, is just a flat 3. So heavy 3, strength 9, AP 4, D6 damage, and it's range 24. So it's bit longer range because the other one is usually 18. So you get a bit more range, a guaranteed 3 shots, AP4 D6 damage. Now obviously it's a melter weapon, so when in half range, so within 12, you roll 2d6 for the damage, disregarding the highest. So as we were just discussing before, this gives you another option to get in close to your enemy's tanks and start melting their face. Now going back to the army-wide trait that we had, allows this guy to be cheaper because by having the stabilization systems, it's he can move and fire his heavy weapons without that penalty. So that's really good. I run him with the flamers. It might be a good option now that this is a guaranteed 3 hits, probably to give him the 2 melters now, because then with that upgrade, you're guaranteed 5 melter shots. You know, a few marker lights and whatnot on something, and that many melter shots, you're guaranteeing to turn a tank into slag. You know, try and see one of those repulsor annihilators, you know, cop that many rounds off something that's jump out of nowhere, because you got to remember these things were sneaking onto the battlefield long before other big robots were, Space Marines. So in saying that, we've got another new prototype weapon system, which I think is really cool. Now this one, so if you're not going for the anti-tank, but you want a little bit of board control, this one's called the Advanced EM Scrambler. So the Advanced EM Scrambler, it doesn't allow anything to come out of Deep Strike reserves within 12 of this suit. So if you set this guy up somewhere, you've got an unchargeable bubble, which is really good because when playing Tau, last thing you want to do is be in the assault. So, you know, you can set this guy up a little bit in front of your army because he's got the ability to deploy outside of your deployment zone when the battle starts. He's got a neg1 to hit, neg2 to hit if he can keep his 2 drones alive. Good luck with that if you're playing against someone that's got mortars or something like that, but still. Then what you've done is created a non-chargeable Deep Strike bubble. So that means that, you know, if you're going up against your Blood Angels or your Raven Guard or all those nasty things, you're going to keep them well out of your lines for that first or second crucial turn, allowing you to maximize with your shots. I can see absolute endless application with this sort of upgrade, especially in a Tau army that doesn't want to be in combat. So there are 2 new upgrades, 2 more reasons to take the Ghostkeel battlesuit. I really like both of them. As I said, if you're fighting another shooty army, you can go with the Fusion Obliterator. If you're fighting against something that's going to pop out a Deep Strike, you know, Orcs, Khorne, bloody anything that'll, you know, beat you up in combat, which is just about anything when you're Tau. So the old Advanced EM Scrambler is definitely worth a look. Alright, so we'll go on to the next prototype weapon that's applicable to my army, and we'll get back to you in a second. Alright guys, here we go, the next one. So we've got our Humble Pathfinder team. Now they're in a 10-man unit at this point, because if I was going to use this next one, I think it'd be applicable to just use it on one big 10-man unit. And it's called Networked Marker Lights. Now the big difference is usually when you use marker lights on these guys, the marker light is a heavy weapon, so moving and firing it can be a bit of a thing. Now with the Tau Sept, with these guys, so it slows them right down anyway, so you got to put them somewhere. They do get their free 7-inch move at the start of the battle. Sometimes if you're going second, that's not necessarily a good thing. You want to keep them hidden and then be able to pop out and use their marker lights on things. Now, these networked marker lights become Assault 1. So rather than being Heavy 1, they're Assault 1, which means you can move around freely, hitting on 4s now. You can even run and shoot them for a 5, which is really good. So if something is a little bit out of that 36, you got your 7-inch move, plus the 36, can't mass right now, what's that, 43, then you got a possible run, which is possibly 49 inches, so you got some really good range for your marker lights there. It's one that I saw. I don't know how much use this will get. I can see myself using it in certain games, like, you know, makes a little bit of a difference, bit of bang for buck, can't really go wrong, but that's something to take a bit of note of. An assault marker light as opposed to a heavy marker light gives you the movement Sometimes when you're trying to get away from things too, say you're fighting like orcs or something, you might want to try and retreat and still marker light things. Gives you the option to be able to do that. This also has some options to run that with, what's his name? It'll come to me. He's like the Pathfinder character that allows you to move. Then when you overwatch, you can maneuver again. It'll come to me his name. But anyway, the point of the matter is there's a lot of combination that you can use with that to keep you guys on the move, firing marker lights and supporting the rest of your army. Mind you, anything shoots them back and they're just going to die because they're not very tough. But worth a mention, network marker lights. All right, we'll move on to the next one. Alright guys, the next one up is something that I've been waiting for. This is really cool. I've got two of these assembled so far, the Broadside battle suits. I've got them with the heavy rail rifles and the smart missile systems. This is the way I've always liked to run them. But now with this next prototype weapon system, this can make a unit of these super dangerous. And I emphasize this, super dangerous. You will be blowing people out of their socks with this. This is one of my faves. So, it's called the Magna Rail Rifle. So when you use this, it replaces all the rail rifles in the unit. So I'm going to take a unit of 3, got to put the third guy together. Now what this does is, so the range of the gun is 60. Then you've got heavy 2, strength 9, AP 4, D6 damage, which is really nice just as it is. Then on top of that, every 6 you roll adds a mortal wound. Sorry, every 6 you roll to wound adds a mortal wound. Then the real kicker is when you're rolling your damage, any 1s or 2s count as a 3. So you're always doing flat 3 damage. This is what I think the bread and butter is in terms of anti-tank now. So 3 of these sitting up the back. Now remember with the stabilizers, you can have them hidden, move them out, fire off their weapons with no penalty. You're getting 6 shots, strength 9, AP 4, D6 damage, possibly causing mortal wounds, flat 3 damage, maximum of 6 damage. Now you really are going to be wrecking Space Marine tanks, you're going to be wrecking knights, you're going to be wrecking whatever you need to be wrecking. It's a nice high strength, it's a really good AP. You know, you can combo this with, as I've said, the stabilization systems. Then on top of that, you can also pay to up the AP on it again if you really think that AP 5 is where it's at. Sometimes people like that sort of thing. I think anything over AP4 is usually wasting it, but hey. Then your smart missile systems, as I said again, because it's hardened warheads, AP1 as well. So what you've given yourself is just a really good anti-tank platform. 3 of these guys, 2 are quite survivable. They're, you know, 2 up save, tough 5, 6 wounds. Sit them in some cover. They're not really big models. Fire them off. I remember back in the day when the old Broadside set up like this, just scared the pants off most tanks in the entire game, going back into, you know, like 4th, 5th and 6th edition. Then for a while there, they went to strength 8 with the gun and it sort of wasn't quite enough, where they used to be strength 10, now going to strength 9 in 8th edition. With this Magna Rail Rifle, I'm going to be putting in some work. Like I said, I got one on the third one on the painting table right now, ready to go. I'm going to rock these Magna Rail Rifles until the cows come home. So that's so far it's probably my favourite of the upgraded weapons. As you can see, there's a bit of a theme going. All these so far have pretty much been upgrades to anti-tank, but hey, you can never have too much anti-tank. You also got the EMP guy on the Ghostkeel battlesuit. So here's go. Sometimes it's not always the best to take high yield missile pods. You can use these as well. Alright, we'll go on to the next one. Get back to you in a minute. Alright, here he is, the big boy. Everyone loves to hate him. It's the Riptide battlesuit. Ever since they've come out, they've caused controversy. But if you're a tower player, they are your saving grace. They're a brilliant unit. Now, one of the weapons that's come out in our new prototype weapons is the amplified ion accelerator. Now, this also is anti-tank, but it's brilliant again because, as talking with a mate before on Facebook, you don't have to waste your overcharge on overcharging your weapon anymore, because this one, if you shoot it standard, is heavy 6, strength 8, AP 4, flat 3 damage. Then if you overcharge it, it's 6 shots again, It's AP 4, but it goes up to strength 9, and then the damage is flat 3 plus D3. So very similar to the rail rifles, you're getting a flat 3 damage plus an extra D3 damage. So minimum of 4, maximum of 5. That's good damage output. Obviously, when you overcharge it, any rolls of 1, you suffer a mortal wound. But hopefully you will have marker lit something before you go firing this off. So once again, stabilization systems on this, beneficial again. You're moving around. So pretty much you pay for your Riptide for the way he is now base. You don't have to put any other upgrades bar his weapons on him. Now you've got the move and shoot heavy weapons for free because of your chapter traits. You got off its head ion accelerator, which is one of your new prototypes. And then your other stratagem, your other army-wide trait makes your smart missile systems AP1. So now it's cut that 30 points off your Riptide, making him, that's a hell of a lot cheaper for sort of a better damage output. This guy now only comes in at 265 points and has better buffs than before. Granted, obviously, you know, you're only doing it to one of these guys at this point. But still, that's an absolute kick-ass weapon. And it'll do you proud, as I said, killing vehicles, killing knights, or the other thing too, as I've gone all over these weapons that are a flat 3 damage, that a lot of the things that you face on the battlefield, like wraiths, even all the inceptors and aggressors and everything, now have gone up to 3 wounds. This is your way of just obliterating them off the field. AP 4 means they don't get a save, flat 3 damage, 6 shots. You can be wiping out units of them with this guy, just not even stressing. So have a think about that. Maybe it's in the army. So we've just gone over 1, 2, 3, 4 really sustainable heavy units now. Heavy armored killing units now in your new prototype weapons, and also some army stratagems. So there you go, guys. That's my thought on the new tower prototype weapons and some army tactics that I'll be using. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. I'm going to go back, play some more games. I don't want to go over the stratagems just yet, because I feel that stratagems are something that sort of I need some in-game play to get back to you with how applicable they'll actually be. Give me your thoughts on the list, any improvements, and I'll get shooting with these prototype weapons and get back to you with some battle reports and hopefully some good news about how devastating Tau are again or more. Yeah, whatever, you get my point. Alright guys, if you like this, like and subscribe, get around it, enjoy, and hopefully we all work together and come up with some great stuff. Alright guys, I'll see you later.